Welcome back to the Cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and I've just bought nearly $30,000 worth of Ethereum, and in just a moment in this video, I'll be explaining exactly why I've done that. I'll be giving you all of my next Ethereum price targets and my Ethereum strategy later in the video, so definitely stick around all the way to the end so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we jump into it, if that sounds good to you, make sure to drop a like on the video down below, and I really do appreciate it if you could just subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you're not missing out on any of these future updates every single day. It only takes a couple seconds out of your day to go down and click like and subscribe, but it seriously means a lot to me and it helps out the channel so much. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Ethereum to US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame, and as you can see here, just over the past 24 hours approximately, Ethereum has actually experienced a perfect retest of this previous resistance level on the chart. So this range, by the way, is pretty much ranging just above $3,500 US up towards around 3,550. And if you're wondering why this range is so important, the subscribers would already know, but I'll just quickly give you guys a recap for the new viewers on the channel, bringing out the Fibonacci retracement tool from this high at around 4K down to this low at around 2.6K approximately. What we have here is the golden pocket, the most important Fibonacci range on the chart, and that's coming in exactly there, just above $3,500 US. And so the fact that Ethereum has just retested the golden pocket and flipped it into support, this is actually a really bullish sign for Ethereum for as long as we can now obviously hold above the golden pocket. Other resistance levels to the upside include this point just here where we previously found resistance, as you can see, coming in at around 3,650, and we've currently already run into that level around 1 day ago just here. And at least at the time of filming this video, Ethereum is actually currently retesting this level of resistance. So if we see a break above this level of resistance, bringing back out the Fibonacci levels again, we could potentially find a little bit of resistance at the 78.6% Fibonacci level, which is coming in at around 3,730 to be exact. Recently on the channel, I've been basically just saying at around 3.7K, and anything above around 3.7K, according to the Fibonacci levels, we actually don't really have much resistance left all the way up towards this high at around $4,000 US. That's the next point of resistance to the upside above these initial levels just here. And also, when you're bringing out the VPVR indicator, right now, the price of Ethereum is actually trading above the biggest cluster of volume right here, which means that all of this traded volume is actually acting as support for the price of Ethereum. And you can clearly see above the current prices, we actually don't have too much traded volume at these higher prices, meaning that we don't actually have a whole lot of resistance to the upside, at least in comparison to the massive amount of support we have for Ethereum to the downside. When you're zooming even further out on the Ethereum chart to include a larger visible range, this of course changes the values of the volume profile per visible range. But even so, we're still not seeing much resistance to the upside according to this VPVR indicator. Now bringing out the price oscillators on the chart to take a look. First of all, just getting the MACD out of the way, because you can clearly see here, at least on the 4-hour time frame, it's not doing anything too crazy. It's basically just going straight sideways. So getting that out of the way, and what we can see here in the RSI is, of course, we're still holding this very strong upwards trending support line. So this is definitely great to see for Ethereum, because the moment we start breaking below this upwards trending support line, which will happen eventually, that's when we could see a little bit more of a short-term cooler for Ethereum, considering the fact that the last time we actually saw that for Ethereum back here, we did indeed see a bit more bearish price action come into play just after we saw that. But right now, we have not broken this level. We're still using it as support, and we're still in this uptrend on the 4-hourly RSI. And this also goes for the price of Ethereum. We're still obviously in a strong uptrend here, but unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum is still waiting to break above these previous highs just here. Of course, if you've been paying attention to the Bitcoin chart at all, we've broken above that previous high at around $53,000 US on the Bitcoin daily time frame. So that was definitely a huge accomplishment for Bitcoin, and of course, setting a higher high on a big time frame like the daily time frame and even on the weekly time frame, that's a huge deal. But right now, we're still waiting on something like that for Ethereum, because as of right now, we're only just testing this previous high just here, and we're still a decent pump away before we actually break above that $4,000 high. But with that being said, as I discussed in more detail in my last Ethereum video, Bitcoin can sometimes act as a leading indicator for Ethereum, especially when it's coming to this pattern just here. Of course, if you've been following the channel over the past few days, I've been talking about this pattern for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, because obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum's charts are somewhat similar, but Bitcoin has already broken to the upside out of this pattern. Bitcoin has already broken this neckline, but we haven't broken it yet on Ethereum. So that begs the question, are we going to see the same breakout for Ethereum as we just saw in Bitcoin? And well, usually if we see a very bullish break like that in Bitcoin, it's actually only a matter of time before we see a similar thing in the price of Ethereum. Obviously, they don't have a perfect correlation, so sometimes when Bitcoin is pumping, Ethereum might be lagging behind. But then when Bitcoin starts entering a bit of a short-term cool-off, that's when Ethereum can really start catching up and potentially outperform Bitcoin. And that's possibly what we are about to do right now, because taking a quick look at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin valuation, this is actually really important because I try and stay fully transparent on this channel for all of you. As you can see here, these are actually all of the transactions that I've been making recently. So all of this Ethereum that I have accumulated since around the 2nd of October, so really over the past 5 days, I've actually been accumulating this Ethereum, and I've been using Bitcoin to accumulate the Ethereum. So I'm basically moving funds out of Bitcoin into Ethereum, as you can see here. And so far, yeah, I've accumulated nearly $30,000 worth. And if Ethereum versus Bitcoin does dip any lower, then I will just continue to slowly dollar cost average into Ethereum moving forward. And I'm sure you can already see at first glance from looking at this chart, but Ethereum has just run into massive amounts of support on this chart just here. By the way, this is actually the exact range of support that I was talking about yesterday on the channel. A couple days ago, if you've been watching my Ethereum update videos, I said if we break this line of support just here, then it's likely we're going to see a similar move to the downside like the one that we saw just before we broke the line of support. So the move that we had just before we broke that line of support was around a 5% move to the downside, and measuring from the line of support to the actual bottom so far at least was around a 5% move to the downside. So far that's played out pretty nicely, and while we're in this bearish price action for Ethereum valued against Bitcoin, the bearish price action is where you see the biggest opportunities. I always say that on the channel. One of the times where I was saying that the most was when we were at around $1,700 per Ethereum and at around $30,000 per Bitcoin back in June and July, when I was saying I'm actually buying a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum at those levels, because back then we had just experienced a lot of bearish price action, which was showing us huge opportunities. And right now, due to the fact that we've already seen a lot of bearish price action for Ethereum valued against Bitcoin, we are potentially beginning to see some amazing opportunities. Now, obviously, nothing is guaranteed in these markets, so that's why it's important to mention that I'm just dollar cost averaging into Ethereum using Bitcoin. I'm not just going all in at any given price level, because that's very risky. It's pretty much impossible to time the exact bottom. Now, what would be the best case for Ethereum right now? Well, obviously, that would be to find some support here and just start heading to the upside. But the worst case scenario that I could possibly see for Ethereum versus Bitcoin here is, of course, zooming all the way out on the daily time frame. This just here is the 2017 bull market. And straight away, what you can tell is during the bull market, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. During the bear market, Ethereum is underperforming against Bitcoin. Right now, we are in a bull market. We've basically been in a bull market since around the middle of 2020. And ever since then, Ethereum has just on average been outperforming Bitcoin. But with that being said, even though generally speaking, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and we always outperform Bitcoin in the bull markets so far, at least as far as history goes, even though that's the case, there's still some short-term time periods on the chart. You can see here in the middle of all of this bullish price action, every now and again, we do experience a bit of bearish price action. And while we have already experienced bearish price action over the past 1 month approximately, just talking about a absolute worst case scenario for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, it would be to simply play out something similar to what we actually played out in the last bull market back in 2017. As you can see here, it was basically a two-phase bull market when it comes to Ethereum valued against Bitcoin. And in fact, this first huge pump to the upside, that was during 2016. And then we entered quite a lot of sideways price action for Ethereum valued against Bitcoin. In fact, that sideways price action lasted from around March, April, which was the beginning just here, all the way up towards around the end of September and the beginning of October back in 2016. And taking a look at the current Ethereum versus Bitcoin valuations, there are some differences between right now and back then. For example, March, April was down here, and we actually experienced a huge bullish move after that, when last time around during this time period, we were pretty much heading sideways. But what's obviously interesting is the fact that we actually had a bit of a pullback in the valuation for Ethereum versus Bitcoin in the final quarter of 2016, leading into the beginning of 2017. But whether you bought before the bearish price action or at the end of the bearish price action, either way, even if you bought at these previous all-time highs for Ethereum versus Bitcoin, later during 2017, Ethereum put in a brand new all-time high valuation against Bitcoin. So for as long as you're putting that opportunity to work and simply just dollar cost averaging slowly into Ethereum bit by bit and setting yourself up for the next major move. Obviously, you would have done very well in the last bull market. And so that's basically what I'm preparing for moving forward for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We could totally see a little bit more bearish price action, and that's completely okay because it's all in the short term. And I myself, at least as a part of my strategy, I would consider more bearish price action as a buying opportunity to hold for the longer term over the next few months. And obviously, none of that is financial advice. That's just giving you an insight of my Ethereum strategy moving forward. And if you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of this video, make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on so that you're not missing out on any of these updates in the future. And don't forget, if you want extra updates throughout the day in real time as things are actually happening in the crypto markets, make sure you're following me over on my Twitter. My official Twitter account is the one that's linked in the description down below. But anyway, that's really everything I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.